إن الحجاب فريضة من ربنا المنان يا أختنا بالله لا يغرك الشيطان.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the press, members of the coalition, and other attendees of this event. I welcome you all to the 9th Annual World Hijab Day press briefing. It is an interaction with respected members of the press aimed at creating awareness of significance of the World Hijab Day and a series of events planned to mark this year's edition. The Coalition of Nigerian Muslim Women was formed as a collaboration platform for various Muslim women organizations and institutions in a bid to promote and propagate issues of concern that affect the private and public life of women, especially Muslim women and girls. The coalition is made up of groups such as Form 1, Nasrat, Women in Dawah, Ansaruddin, Al-Habibiyya, Jadafiyya, Abuja Muslim Forum, Al-Mu'minat, and Nisa Foundation, Sisters of Jannah, The Criterion, Initiative for Muslim Sisters, Hidayah Islamic Charity, and many more. February 1st of every year is marked as World Hijab Day worldwide. It is a day set aside. February 1st of every year is marked as World Hijab Day worldwide. It is a day set aside to create awareness of the Muslim woman's dress, its position and what it represents, galvanizing support for its wearers, and campaigning against its prohibition, castigation, and maltreatment of its wearer. An initiative of Nazma Khan, World Hijab Day was first marked in 2013 across the world, Nigeria inclusive. This initiative has achieved significant impact since then, but a lot of work and effort still need to be directed towards creating positive awareness of the hijab, thereby protecting the rights of its user. Presently, it is marked by people in 190 countries worldwide. This is the 9th year that the coalition is implementing activities of the World Hijab Day. The Coalition of Nigerian Muslim Women has not changed its focus of constructive engagement with all relevant stakeholders and the general Nigerian public. This stance aims to drive the simple message that the hijab is the Muslim woman and she is the hijab. She can participate effectively in all public undertakings with the hijab. Her right to wear it in public is guaranteed by our laws and should be protected by the symbols of authority in all spheres of life. She should therefore not suffer any harm by exercising this right. This is the message we will keep spreading through all available means until it receives clear comprehension and accommodation. We strongly count on your support as messengers, educators, and information providers. Our theme in 2022 is Hijab is our crown, not our crime. #dressed, not oppressed. The awareness creation is aimed at creating mutual respect among global citizens and disclaiming bigotry and prejudice amongst Muslim women this year. We want to showcase the hijab as a symbol of freedom to follow the human being's natural fitrah as pre-designed by our Creator to live according to His will and purpose. Both men and women are designed by Allah to promote the natural equilibrium on earth as His representatives. Both are therefore expected to showcase decency, modesty, and responsibility in actions and appearance. This embodies a message of encouragement, determination, and pride in our choice of hearkening to the will of Allah as Muslim women. It also proclaims a desire for human, legal, and institutional comprehension and utilization for the well-being and utmost contribution of all persons, showcasing decency and freedom. Only this outlook and focus will ensure the growth, development of our dear nation to enable it to reach its desired potential as anticipated since Nigeria's independence in 1960. A lot of gains have been recorded globally in changing the perception of the hijab since we joined the global crusade. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this and commend all persons, institutions, groups, and governments for their conscientious stand and effort. Among these positive outcomes, we have seen the Philippines House of Representatives approving on a second reading a bill seeking to declare the first day of February of every year as National Hijab Day. In 2018, the Scottish Parliament hosted a 3-day exhibition to mark the World Hijab Day. Also in Nigeria, the House of Representatives introduced a bill seeking to institutionalize the use of hijab in schools. The bill, titled Religious Discrimination Prohibition Prevention Bill 2021, is seeking to provide a mechanism for enforcing certain provisions of the Constitution and other international laws that recognize the right of a female to adorn hijab in public and private establishments in Nigeria. Even though some groups rose against this legislation, we call on our fellow brethren, regardless of faith, to reassess their stance and support all that is good, regardless of its proponents. We will continue following up on this bill, and we hope to witness its successful passage and implementation. These gains encourage us to keep the conversation, the advocacy, and the positive portrayal of the hijab going on until all its wearers receive the same treatment and recognition in the same way as all citizens of the globe. However, we still have a lot to do because despite the gains, a lot of anti-hijabi policies and stance are still prevalent, and were witnessed in 2021 as follows. From a global perspective, in Germany in 2021, 24-year-old Ahmad, who is from Syria, arrived to start work at a nursery in Erfurt wearing a headscarf. She was immediately turned away. This is because about half of the country's 16 federal states have restrictions of some kind concerning face and head coverings. In France, in March 2021, the French Senate voted to outlaw the headscarf for minors in public. It is significant to note that the age of consent to sex in France is 15 years, while the age of consent to hijab is 18 years. In Canada, in April 2021, a Canadian judge upheld Quebec's province's ban on wearing religious symbols for public servants such as police and teachers. In December 2021, due to this law, a Muslim teacher, Fatima Anvari, an elementary school teacher in Chelsea Elementary School, Canada, was transferred from her job for wearing a hijab in a classroom. It affects jobs such as teachers, nurses, bus drivers, prison guards, and police. In November 2021, an EU-funded anti-discrimination campaign to promote acceptance of the hijab by the Council of Europe, Europe's top human rights organization, was cancelled by the Council following an outrage in France and across Europe. Locally in Nigeria, we've also documented the following cases of hijab sentiment. In March 2021, Christian groups mobilized and barricaded some schools to protest the directives announced by the Kwara state government that all public schools should respect the rights of Muslim students to wear the head covering if they choose to. In November 2021, Federal University of Agriculture in Abeokuta, Ogun State, placed a ban on the hijab and niqab by Muslim students on campus, based on the flimsy reason of wanting to identify each student on campus. In December 2021, Naimat, a Muslim youth corps member, posted to Akwa Ibom State, was harassed and prevented from using hijab by the camp officials until Muslim groups and government authorities intervened. We therefore still have a lot of work to do. We continue to push forward and need all the support we can get from citizens, the three arms of government, media, religious leaders, traditional leaders, educational institutions, civil society groups, and all relevant bodies. The COVID-19 pandemic has truly changed the world's perspective and methods of virtually everything, including clothing. Now over 50 countries have made wearing the mask mandatory. We wait to see whether the strong objection in some climes to face coverings by Muslim women will hold water in the near future. This coalition deeply appreciates the support it has enjoyed from members of the media who are our guests at this occasion. You have always honored invitations to attend this event and other activities. You have also provided sufficient and balanced reportage of the annual World Hijab Day. We pray that you continue to treat all issues that concern the hijab and other aspects of your work with the fear of God and the best interest of all citizens in your heart. The coalition calls on hijabis to utilize its cover proudly in a positive and productive manner so that they are maximally useful, and beneficial to themselves and the society. It is indeed a source of good, not bad. The feeling of utmost freedom and tranquility and a sense of protection the wearer of hijab experiences is only known to the users of hijab. This negates the view that the hijab This negates the view of hijab by non-users as oppressive or inhibiting. Let us blaze the trail in our chosen fields of endeavor and be examples, reference points, not for negativity, but for all that is decent, humane, productive, and proactive. Nothing should hold you back as daughters, sisters, wives, mothers, and grandmothers. We call on all people, our fellow compatriots, institutions, leaders, and those in positions of authority to see our hijab as an enabler, not an inhibitor. We're saying we are okay. We symbolize nothing but good. And as in the common parlance that says, dress the way you want to be addressed, we plead to the world to address us the way we are dressed. They should treat it with respect and understanding, as a tool and a vehicle for inclusiveness, a paved road to reach out to both the most remote and excluded populations of women and children and the nearest and more visible ones. We call on our government at all levels create and provide services that cater to all, including those whose appearance is defined by their belief and obedience to a command from the divine creator. Educational systems that recognize the needs of the hijab-conscious parent, hijab-wearing student should be made a priority, as the importance of female education for national development can never be overemphasized. Educating the girl child produces mothers who are educated and who will in turn educate their children. We call on hospital management boards to be conscious and mindful of this mass segment of Nigeria's citizens and resolve to include them when implementing healthcare programs, especially maternal care, child care, and endemic diseases interventions. The COVID-19 epidemic has retaught us a valuable lesson that the health situation of one impacts us all, and we're only as protected as the weakest link in the chain of humanity. We call on the National Assembly to introduce and pass laws that serve the interest of all citizens and which protect the rights and freedoms of all education, health, employment, finance, home ownership, careers, etc., regardless of what one wears. We urge you in strong terms to speedily pass the Religious Discrimination Prohibition Prevention Bill in 2021, which passed second reading since March 2021, and prevent it from entering the basement of discarded bills. The passage of this one will surely be worthwhile for posterity. We call on the Ministry of Education and the federal and state levels to pay attention to unnecessary victimization of students, which has become a recurring decimal in our schools and institutions. They should guarantee the sanctity of Nigerian laws of freedom of worship, association, and expression for all persons devoid of sentiment. Indeed, redesigning, recalibrating, and refocusing policies, programs, and interventions by institutions and authorities will only result in widespread success and impact. We ask the Ministry takes a decisive action by issuing and reissuing circulars to these schools to remind and caution them to protect this right of girls and ladies to wear hijab in schools and universities. We call on the National Youth Service Corps authorities to introduce an optional set of uniform for Muslim female corps members that desire to appear in modest clothing. The current dress kit issued to a corps member a set of khaki trouser and jacket, one crested vest, a pair of jungle boot, 2 pairs of white shorts, 2 plain white vests, a pair of white canvas, 1 face cap, 2 pairs of customized socks, and a customized belt needs to be reviewed to recognize the right of Muslim corps members to conform to their values. They should also set up a monitoring mechanism at orientation camps to ensure no corps member is denied the right to protect the sanctity of her beliefs by removing her hijab or being forced to wear items such as shorts. We call on the media, the fourth estate of the realm, the conscience of society, to do your part by carrying forth this message with a positive and responsible outlook. We implore you to champion this advocacy and spread this message. Indeed, you have a huge responsibility, a mighty calling, and a great opportunity. Discharge your obligation with the utmost sense of responsibility. Do not overcharge emotions. Heed your calling. Do not be heedless. For indeed, you will account to the Master of the worlds regarding what your pen or keyboard feeds the world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the glorious Quran in chapter 17, verse 36, your hearing, sight, and heart all will be accounted for on the day of judgment. Help our people to appreciate the universal nature of this need for positive advocacy, whether or not you share a faith or belief with the advocates. The criteria should only be whether the advocacy serves a just cause for humanity. We have lined up a series of activities for this year's World Hijab Day from Tuesday, February 1st. These include this press briefing and media interaction, visitations to radio and TV stations, schools, and other relevant organizations and agencies between the 1st and the 4th of February, hijab outreach and awareness outing at Unity Fountain Park on Saturday the 5th at 2 p.m., public lecture on Saturday the 6th of February titled The Hijab as a Metaphor for Our National Aspirations. This will be delivered by erudite scholar Professor Ishaq Akintola, Murik National President, on Sunday, 6 February at the National Mosque Conference by 9:30 a.m. We invite you all to join us on these activities. We express our sincere gratitude to you for honoring our invitation, and we wish you a safe trip back to your various places of work. Thank you very much.